What up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This episode is brought to you by AutoTempest. Listen, it doesn't matter whether you make a lot of money or a little bit of money. Your time is valuable, and you don't want to waste it on doing double work. I don't mind working. I don't mind working hard. I work hard a lot. What don't I like? Doing work twice. And AutoTempest helps with that. You see, what they do is they take all the used car sites all over the internet and they bring them together into one place. You know how when you go to a new car site, you gotta or a used car site, you gotta fill in all these terms. I want a 2005 convertible with this and this miles, this far from here, with these many options. Da 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 da. It's just ridiculous. And you have to do it over and over with every site. AutoTempest does all of that for you, and they compare those results to eBay Motors, AutoTrader, and Facebook Marketplace. They bring it all home into one page for you. It's the jam. They've been supporting us for many, many years, and we really appreciate that. So when you're looking for a car, new or used, looking to sell a car, start at AutoTempest.com. Are you in Los Angeles, people? Do you need somewhere to satisfy that automotive addiction? Do you have not enough room for your cars? Do you maybe want to get another car? You don't know where to keep it? Westside Collector Car Storage is here for you, folks. It's my place. I built the dream garage for someone like me who wants to keep sports cars in Los Angeles. And if you find yourself in the same position, you should hit me up because I have space for you. Westside Collector Car Storage.com, folks, is where you're going to find us in the heart of Playa Vista, just north of LAX. All right, folks, UK week continues. We've got the car pervert Jonny Smith, formerly of Fifth Gear, now of the Smith and Sniff show, as well as his own YouTube channel, Car Pervert, from the UK, calling from the UK. It's Jonny Smith on the Smoking Tire Podcast. Awesome. Well, Jonny, we're live, so it's the Smoking Tire Podcast, and we now exist with the car pervert Jonny Smith calling from the UK. Hello, sir.
Top of the morning/evening to you. Thank you for having me.
Morning for us, evening for you. It's UK week on the Smoking Tire. We had Ted Gushu calling us, who's not a Brit, but he was calling us from the River Thames yesterday.
Yeah.
He's on a houseboat.
It's not a bad place to be locked down.
No, he's on a houseboat.
Okay.
Straight up. It's all right.
That houseboat's probably worth about, I don't know, 10 times more than my house.
Whereabouts in the UK are you calling from?
I'm basically in the middle. So I'm in the East Midlands, which is just north of Cambridge, if you've heard of Cambridge University and stuff. So about 30 miles north of Cambridge. I'm about 100 miles dead north of London.
Oh, wow. Are you in a really, like a small little village, or are you in society?
I'm in a village that's small to the point where I can drive without a number plate on the front of my car for 2 years and the police never ask any questions.
That's fantastic.
Is that how you drove this Charger around? I feel like this would draw some attention.
The Charger, you see, is obviously it's UK registered, but it's on American style plates. So
you're allowed to do that?
Oh, that's cool.
No, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do that at all, Matt. But I just had them done because it fits the look of the car and it looks authentic. But because unless I'm doing a burnout outside of school, nobody really cares. So
I imagine, that's sort of a thing in LA too. You can play a little bit with that kind of stuff around here, and if you're not offending anybody and you're within the spirit of the law. So you had a custom US size plate made with your UK number plate on it.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. I like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works good. So for those in the audio stream only, we're doing a video show on our YouTube as well. Jonny's got this 68 Charger. Is this picture current? Is this what it looks like now?
That was last summer, actually, on a local RAF airfield.
It's got some patina going. What is the story of this 68 Charger?
I've had that car since I imported that from 2008 and from San Diego. So your sort of
life.
And I bought it on eBay, having got loads of pictures of it. It's still to this day the most expensive car I've ever bought. And but I bought it. I guess America was just gone into a recession.
2008, 9.
Yeah, and I'd been looking for about 2 years, and I was the UK was about to go into recession, but we didn't know it. And so I bought it when the dollar was really weak against the pound. So I did okay. And I pretty much got it. And the minute I got it, we went into recession.
Oh my God.
And then, the car landed at the port here 24 hours before my wedding day.
Oh man, that's so cool.
I drove it to my wedding on a trailer with a ribbon on it. It didn't run, you see. It didn't have any oil pressure. So I literally dragged it to my wedding for the sake of the wedding photos.
Yeah, you got to have the photos too. I was thinking of all kinds of ways to get cars up to my wedding to have that photo with a cool car out. It just didn't happen. But I'm glad you committed to the trailer though. That's good. That's a good call.
Does it have handcuffs hanging from the back?
It does. It does have handcuffs hanging from the back. It was just something stupid that I did about 10 years ago for a laugh, and then I left them on there. I just thought, bollocks.
I wonder what other people think it implies.
This guy fucks.
Yeah.
I think people think I'm some sort of kinky so-and-so.
Right.
But to be honest, I'm not. I mean, I kind of wish I was.
I happened to peek through your YouTube channel, your Car Pervert YouTube channel. Go subscribe, folks. And I sorted, as I usually do, I sorted your videos by oldest. And literally one of like the first or second video like you ever made was the importing that charger video. And it's great because you have the perfect 2009 hairstyle. It's it's really, really good. I won't say anything else about it, but I did go and look, and you're importing the charger video. Your hair is like of that era. Like you could sing for Shinedown for sure. Sorry.
Well, if apart from my wife, you're now my second best troll for my hair. I think. My wife's a complete hair troll for me.
No, now you just look like a fit Chris Harris.
I'll take that. I'm a fit monkey. I'll do that.
You should get a T-shirt that says "Fit Monkey" on it. It's funny.
I'll do that. Maybe I should be as like really bad continuity stuntman if he ever does any action.
Yeah. Something like slightly taller, sitting in the driver's seat.
Yeah. I'd like that. That would be good. No, it was bizarre. The irony of the whole wedding car charger thing is I didn't need a wedding car because where we got married, the place of the marriage and the place of the reception afterwards and the evening do was the same venue on the same site. So basically there was no need for any vehicles.
No drive off.
But I said to my wife, I said, look, come on. I can't have a no wedding car wedding. That's just daft.
Just park it outside. I understand 100%. I'm with you. What do they spend on flowers? You know,
yeah.
The flatbed is cheaper than the flowers, and you still get the prop. The same thing.
I know. And so I was trying to for a couple of months before the wedding, I was trying to engineer in ways. So I came up with two solutions. One of them was I'm going to have a show and shine at my own wedding. Like a cars and coffee, but it was definitely booze, not coffee, and everyone was dressed really smart.
Oh, show and shine, like moonshine. Yeah. Oh, that's good. And
then we had. I've been phoning for about 3 months. Fun fair, like traveling fair people, and I had.
Is that a nice way of saying carnies? Fun fair? Is a fun fair a carnival?
Carny people. You call them carnies? Is that right? I've heard
it's not exactly a complimentary term, but yes.
I don't want to offend anybody.
I think it's okay.
I've heard it on The Simpsons.
Yeah, that's fine.
Years ago.
If it's aired on The Simpsons, it's cool.
But I phoned up and booked a traveling fair, like Dodgems.
Yeah. Oh, really?
So I had a Dodgem Arena instead of a wedding car.
That's very cool. That's a great idea. For Americans who have no idea what he's talking about, he's talking about bumper cars. We call them bumper cars.
But bumper cars.
Yeah. But to have bumper cars at your wedding is amazing.
That's way too fun. That's great.
Think about the family issues that could be worked out on the bumper car arena at the wedding.
That's right. Everything gets settled in real time.
Yeah, by 11 p.m. it's like, I got something to say. Fucking you and me right now. I'm in the sparkly blue one.
it actually, I had loads of people say afterwards, that's like the best because that's like legit drink driving.
Yes.
That's just brilliant.
Oh man,
everyone
that is genius.
Everyone was off their face trying to like donut some, like you say, metal flake gold.
Yeah. How big was the arena?
Oh, it was quite big. I mean, it took a whole day to set it up, like a team of people. It cost me a shitload.
No,
I spent all of my money on
That's such a good idea.
Yeah,
though.
but you're like, okay, honey, you get this much money and I get this much money. And she's like, okay, so on my half, we're going to do the food, the flowers, and the dress. What are you going to do? Bumper cars.
Bumper cars.
What about what about everything else? Fuck it, bumper cars.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring frozen corn dogs, and bumper cars.
You could say it was a bit weird, but I have to say, I think it paid off. And weirdly, we've been married now for coming up for 13 years. I should have done a 10-year wedding anniversary.
That would be the jam. Yeah, I was gonna ask if you have if it's like an annual ritual on your anniversary. If you go find some Dodgems, that would be a good ritual, I think.
I can't bloody afford it, man.
No, I don't mean you don't have to buy the whole arena every time. You could go to a place that has them also for probably a little bit less money. But I understand you about the car show. My wife originally, we got married on a Saturday, and so she was like, "Oh, instead of the brunch the next day, why don't you have a car show?" I didn't want to involve that in the whole because, like you said, there would be no reason to drive from one place to another, so there wasn't really a reason to have cars, and it didn't work out.
No.
But your integration is clutch there. That's very good.
Well, I just want to say it was hard work to get it into the venue. I had to pay for a whole new fence because apparently the funfair lorry just crashed through a load of brand new fencing and it caused chaos. It was worth it. It was totally worth it. I got very drunk. We had ribbons on the front of one of the bumper cars. We did a drive of honor, like a lap of honor with my new wife. And then it all just turned into complete carnage.
So great.
Really good.
So great. Yeah. The Jews, you'd incorporate into the hora. You'd be like, all right, with the wedding plan, like, how do we go straight from the hora to the bumper cars and cut the challah in between?
Break the glass between two bumper cars.
Oh my God, Zach coming through with it.
We should do this instead of cars and coffee. Everyone just turns up and there's a bumper car arena already set up. You've got your playlist already, because we had a playlist going out through the PA system of the.
I think this sounds like awesome. I'm gonna go. I'm immediately. Zach, give me a pen. we're looking this up for later. Bumper cars.
We should do that, and obviously, I want to be an integral part of it. It's a good excuse for me to try and get to the States again.
Yeah, you just need it sponsored by GoPro. We need like 50 cameras, a bunch of clamp mounts. That's it, really.
We just have a track day, and this should be an event out at the track day. So if people's cars break, it's like, here, you can go do bumper cars. Set it up at Willow.
Be a great grid life event.
We should totally do it at Willow, but this is in the evening, so it's legit drinking and driving. So there's
they've got this thing.
Arena, there's like a bar.
Yeah. They've got this thing called
you have to have a shot of this and a shot of that and a shot of this, and then you get on the grid. It's like Bad Days of Thunder.
I think they're already doing that, like with iRacing. I think there's like the Miller Lite 500 or whatever, where
that'd be great.
Have to drink a beer every 10 laps or something like that.
It's a good way to prove that like your reaction time is worse when you drink, and just watch pros racing times drop.
Yeah, I can beat Casey Kane if he's 6 drinks in. I'm just what?
I bet you can't.
That'd be a good metric. Yeah, right. How drunk does a pro have to be to not still absolutely spank you on a racetrack?
That's a good game. That's a good game. That's a good video.
That would be a really good real experiment on a track.
Well, so Zach and I worked on a television show 9 years ago, and with Adam Carolla, and we actually did film this bit, and it was thrown out and never aired. I think the lawyers threw it out.
Yeah, they did.
But we basically set up like an autocross and put Adam Carolla in some kind of car. I don't even remember what it was. It doesn't matter. And they kept giving him shots of vodka, I think. Mm-hmm. And then they had like a young Asian girl and like an old guy and somebody who was texting or whatever. And it was like, how drunk could Adam get and beat the average? And he got pretty drunk, I think.
He did. But he also...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if we'll get in trouble for this. But he won. He kept...
Yeah,
the whole thing was like...
We won't get in trouble. It's like 9 years ago.
Can someone who's skilled as a driver, he's done racing and driven fast cars and stuff. Like, is he, with a couple drinks in, better than an average person trying to drive on autocross, or someone texting, or someone just being distracted? And the answer at the end of it, in this case, was yes. But we are not endorsing this.
We're not public, by the way. All endorsing it, but
no, we're not endorsing it. No, it should be. You should do that as an experiment with like a really horribly oversteery car, so that when you're about, like you say, 6 shots of vodka in, so it's just snatching the whole time. Like, just leave me alone.
Yeah, you do the donut. You do the space saver rears.
Welded diff with space savers.
Yeah, welded diff, really angry car that's just not happy with you for drinking.
Like a ton of toe, so it's all twitchy.
Oh man, I'm gonna admit to something more. I had like maybe 2 glasses of wine like 3 years ago, and I rode my scooter home. Fucking never again. Like my Vespa, nope, it was so scary, and I will never ever go anywhere near that shit again. That's if you want to really feel like you're gonna die. Like 1 drink and ride a Vespa? No, thank you. Anyway.
I was in a campsite once at a car show, like a weekend. This was a 90s one, so it was a bit ravey. And I had an Oldsmobile Cutlass, because I quite like my sort of shitty old American cars.
I'm picking some consistencies up here, Johnny.
And I had an Olds Cutlass, and we took it out into this big just field. And I remember doing loads of donuts. I was quite drunk, and there was no one around. That's why we did it in a far corner.
Well, you weren't on a road, No,
we weren't on a road. We were in a field. It was just grass. But I remember looking down. I remember my mates were just laughing behind me, and we're in the big bench seat. It's in 1976, I think it was, 75. And I remember looking down at the speedo, and it's like, it's saying like 60 miles an hour, and we're doing like 10 miles an hour on wet grass, because it's just going in third gear, and there's just a rooster tail of just wet grass everywhere. And we're all just really slowly going, God, look, this is quite good fun, isn't it?
Spinning really slow motion is excellent. You guys, this is like a mind-blowing revelation. No, we were just talking yesterday. We were talking with Ted Gouchou about that thing called the Ice in St. Moritz. Have you seen this thing, Johnny?
No.
It's a concours of sorts that happens on a frozen lake, and part of the concours is like a little bit of like ice lapping. Like they make kind of an oval, and you see these guys in like old Alphas and Muras and stuff like that, like going sideways. And the photos on Instagram are incredible because, like you said, huge rooster tails, wheel spin, very dramatic. But if you see the video, they're going like 4.
Yeah.
You gotta watch it. It's all about the stills.
Like the center card of the video looks amazing, and then you click on the video and you're like, oh,
and you
okay.
go, oh, dude, it's actually like it's going very slowly.
Yeah.
Oh, their website stinks. So you need to go to their Instagram.
So is this called? It should be called the Grand Prix for stills.
I mean, basically, here. Wait, look. Zach's got it right now. Like, look how good these stills look. It just looks incredible. A snowy lake, an alpine backdrop, the mist coming off the car.
Oh, it's got to be going 100 miles an hour, and then you see the video, and it's like 7.
Yeah,
in a Koenigsegg, and yeah.
But the photos are beautiful, so yeah, same idea.
Well, hang on, Matt. That's what you want to do when you did that thing. What was it called? I wrote it down. All cars go to heaven. That's what you should do.
Zach and I did that. What, a snow one?
You should do an Alpine all cars go to heaven, and you just for the pictures for Instagram. I want a Pontiac Aztec, fully crossed up, rooster tails of amazing snow, but you're only doing 12 miles an hour.
The one thing, if I come to Europe anytime soon, I'd like to collaborate with one of you guys, and I think you and Richard would probably be the people to do it. With Smith and Sniff, I think I want to find cars that people must have spent an extraordinary amount of money bringing to Europe, but that are just horrible shit boxes. Like, I was in Monaco and I saw like a 1987 Cadillac Brougham, like with that terrible port injection engine, like the one that like time for fucking forgot, not even the cool one. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
it's like a $2,000 car. Someone must have spent like $15,000 or $20,000 to like import this thing to Monaco.
And why?
I don't know, but there's got to be so many of those.
Do you think that is someone who is like incredibly wealthy and it's a joke for them?
No,
or do you think it's
wealthy and they just like
and
it?
they like it,
right, Johnny?
Oh yeah. There's people like that. I mean, owning an American car in the UK is quite niche, but if you ever go to American car shows over here, they do exist. They're not massive, but you will always find the guy who's got the Stetson with the bad shirt, with the he looks like a Texan,
like a cowboy.
Yeah, but he's
hello, how are you?
He's a cowboy, but he's got like a terrible like West Country accent or something, and he's driving a bustle-back Cadillac. You know, the ones that look like crash.
Yeah, the ones that look like snowplows going in reverse.
Yeah, yes. Or the what was the really bad jelly mold Monte Carlo SS?
Oh, yeah.
Terrible.
Like you mean like the 90s ones?
Yeah, like one of them.
God.
No way. People bring those to the UK? Someone brought a 90s Monte Carlo to the UK? Those are horrific.
Like the Dale Earnhardt one? When they had like the number 3 on it?
Yeah, the Intimidator.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's a good thing. He was already dead when they made that, right? He was, wasn't he?
Yeah, one of them. Well, look, there's I mean, like a Fox body Mustang base model, nothing interesting going on.
Yeah. Have you ever driven one of those Monte Carlos, Johnny?
No.
There's nothing worse. It's so terrible. I really mean it. I can't be more honest about how terrible a car has to be for them to start putting contrast colored body kits on them.
I'm trying to think of what were the darkest days? What were the darkest days of the US car industry?
Late 70s.
Yeah, late
70s.
70s.
Sure.
Yeah, but we had some real shit in the middle 90s as well, that just in terms of our
jelly
cartoon jelly, you're the jelly mold button, the button era of Pontiac and the Pontiac. You ever see the Pontiac Grand Prix where the whole middle of the steering wheel was like big, like kid buttons almost for shit?
And that car had so much like styling and wings and things going on. But they made the GTP one, which was fast.
One of those just sold on Bring a Trailer for like I think $15,000 or something. It had no miles on it. It was part of some collection.
What?
Yeah, the ASC McLaren Pontiac.
You nearly bought it, Matt. You're saying that because you nearly bought it.
I'm not saying I didn't click the read more button, but I did not bid on that one. You had
a face full of whiskey and you were like, oh, maybe I will.
Look at this.
I've never before that, go older. It's the 80s Pontiac steering wheel.
This is bad too.
Down bottom left, Zach. Look at the bottom left corner. That's it. Look at that. Look at the buttons on this fucking thing. There's the whole face of the center of the wheel where you would now find an airbag is covered with terrible gray buttons. I can't read what they do.
I can't either, but like they can only do so many things because this was the 80s. There's no like Bluetooth calling, so this has to be like fast forward tape deck.
And the big gray buttons on the gauge bezel on the top left of the gauge bezel, that's very late 80s, early 90s American trash too.
Although Nissan still does it.
I'm looking at that picture hoping that there is actually an airbag behind it.
No.
And if you have a small accident, it just fires rubber buttons at you.
Oh, look at this one. This is from the Pontiac 6000, which the Pontiac 6000 is one of the worst American cars ever made. And the steering, it's like they almost went full Citroen. But they couldn't. But they didn't have any money. Like someone saw a Citroen and went, guys, we're going to go dual tiered gauge cluster, fucking avant-garde steering wheel, but then they
look at the door, electric window angle.
Guys, we couldn't afford the armrest, I gotta say, so we got the buttons. But
yeah, they went Citroen dashboard and Grumman panel truck doors.
I would if they were cheap, I would buy one for.
They are.
Something. I spoke to Richard Porter today because it's actually I didn't realise, I totally forgot, it's his birthday.
Happy birthday, Richard! He shares a birthday with my wife. April 24th is a good day.
Well, there you go. So yeah, it's his birthday. And I said, oh, I'm speaking to Matt and Zach later. Have you got any questions for them? And
Oh boy.
Oh, great.
no, he did actually say, he said, oh, I'm a bit drunk, actually. I've been day drinking. And he said, yeah, which V8s could you impersonate with farts? Would it be small block Chevy, Hemi, or Cleveland Ford? In brackets, it's my birthday, so I'm very sorry, I've been drinking.
No, it's a very good question. See, I was going to go with, like, my farts, I think, are more Hemi. The Hemi is more, when I fart, it's kind of like farting into an aluminum can. It's got a resonation.
Oh, okay.
That you need a Hemi 6.4 to really replicate.
I am more like small. I'm Ferrari. Unless I'm sitting on a deeply padded chair, I am much more Ferrari.
So the
I have a
frequency,
guarded ass.
it's a very tight frequency,
Right.
very
Yeah. 2.9.
I don't know what I am. I've got to really think this over. It depends on the diet, obviously. The hours running up.
That's
to
a
the
good
event.
point.
Right.
That's a good point.
I'm going to put you at about a 446 pack.
I'd like that. I fear that I'm probably some sort of like really bad V6. You know, like a really lazy one.
Oh, like an Infiniti FX35. Do they sell the Infinitis in the UK? You get Infinitis?
Infiniti is a brand which stopped last year officially. They gave up last year.
Oh, they gave up a long time before that, Johnny.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry. That's mean.
It's a strange one because obviously Infiniti's been in the States for a long time, and they brought it into the UK and nobody understood it, and they just kept pushing it and going, guys, I bless the press office. They tried so hard, but it's like, listen, nobody really understands Infiniti. It's not really Lexus. It's not quite working, and we kept kind of ignoring them. And they kept putting money into it. And then last year, they finally just went, you know what? They waved the white flag and they went, nobody cares. So, and there's a bit of an ongoing joke in the car fraternity here. If you see a privately owned Infiniti in the UK, it's one of about 60 cars, probably.
Oh, really?
I mean, like, oh yeah, they're a true unicorn. I mean, sod 250 GTO Ferraris. You're more like to see a 250 GTO on the street than you are a privately owned Infiniti.
Oh, that's really crazy. Wow. Yeah, I guess that would be like just like importing just some crazy like what are you just totally unlikely to see on the street here, even though it's in theory like a regular car.
Well, again, it's something with like an Opel badge instead of, I guess, that like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, we get sometimes, Johnny, because we're in LA, and we're near-ish to the border. Is we'll see something really strange, and it'll have a Mexico plate on it. Because they get Renault and stuff, and we don't get.
I've seen
like Dacias and shit they sell in Mexico.
Oh, like a Chevy Cruze with a different badge or something like that. It's called something different down there. Yeah. You're like, what is that again?
Yeah. So we see
you see a sweet bit of badge marketing going on.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Because I didn't realize you guys got the Opel Omega, the Vauxhall Omega, which is the Cadillac Catera.
Oh, my grandma had one of those, the Caddy that zigs. Did you ever see that ad campaign?
No.
It was embarrassing. It was called the Caddy that zigs.
Yeah.
As in zigzag. Yes, exactly.
How is it? What, like a drink driver?
Like, finally we've built something that handles. Like, it was the first Cadillac to ever make an attempt at handling. That was the idea.
Because when I was filming a car show in LA quite a while ago now, and somebody found a scrap Cadillac Catera, and I went, well, hang on, that's a Vauxhall Omega. Yeah. And they were like, what? And I went, well, they were like police cars in the UK, and they were quite good.
That's
in
hilarious.
the UK, you could get those with a limited slip diff, 6-speed manual, 3.2 V6, and they flew.
Ooh, yeah.
It's not bad, actually.
Yeah, and what's weird is in the early days of like drifting as a cult thing, in the UK, if you were a bit of a sort of low-end drifter, you'd get one of those because they had a really good steering angle.
Wow.
And weld the diff, and you could be a good ghetto drift car.
Did these have any? Were there anything about these that were related to like Lotus Carlton or anything like that? Did they share anything? I don't think so, right?
They shared anything. I think it was because the Carlton, was the sort of 80s and then the early 90s, and then the Senator. Have you heard of the Opel or Vauxhall Senator?
Yeah.
The Senator was the sort of gentleman's express. I mean, if you had a Senator 24 valve in the 80s, you were like,
you were the shit.
Yeah.
Now you've got me thinking about Cadillac Catera drift cars.
Yeah, man. We're looking at them.
Honestly, because I had no idea that the Cadillac Catera was a thing. When we came back from filming that, I sat there and went, "Oh, maybe I should import some Catera like badges and grills."
Yeah, dude, the grills.
Put them on. And then people are like, "What?" I mean, it's like a Vauxhall Omega. It's like a retired.
It's a cop car. Can you imagine if like in England people were selling the Crown Vic but with like, fancy badge, and it was like, no, this is a luxury car. We're like, that's a cop car taxi where we live. It's like the same thing.
Well, people in America enthusiasts, not like regular people, but will buy the Australian front and rear clips, for the GM sedans and put the Holden stuff on. That's the thing.
Oh yeah. Because you guys had that was badged as a Pontiac, is that right?
First a Pontiac and then a Chevy after they killed Pontiac, but they kept it around. You ever drive one of them? Yeah. They're fucking great. Oh, you get them. You got those. They're great.
Yeah, we got those, and they were quite a limited edition, and it was. To be honest, it's one of the most memorable cars that I've ever test driven. Where in terms of like non-supercar,
was it one of the psycho ones that you drove?
Yeah, we had the VXR 500 as it was called. So it was warranted, special edition, supercharged. What else did it have? It had a rip shift, like a short shift gearbox conversion, and a couple of other mods. And the thing was fucking brilliant. I mean, 500 horsepower, 500 pounds-feet, 3-year warranty, and it flew. It absolutely flew. And back seat big enough for children. So I was like, right. In 4 years' time, I'm going to buy one.
The Pontiac ones, the G8 GXP, which was the fastest the Pontiac one got, which had the LS3 and the 6-speed in it. Those today with like low miles to get one is more than they cost new to get one today. Like 10 years later.
Is it really?
Yeah, they're really hard to find a G8 GXP with a manual. Mm-hmm. The autos don't have the same thing, but they're tough to find, and nobody bought them when they were new. And now they're hard to find, and they're worth
I still kind of mourn the loss of Pontiac, because Pontiac is one of my favorite brands, and because they did that rebadge Holden thing, I think that worked really well. I mean, that was a proper muscle car. That was a really decent driver's car. It was affordable. It went like stink. Loads of aftermarket stuff you could throw on it. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Why did you love the Pontiac brand?
I think I love the Pontiac brand because the old, the Tempest and the GTO, the start of the muscle car era. I think it's a really significant car. But I bought, and weirdly, I was writing about this today. I had to write a feature for Hemmings I bought a factory right-hand drive Pontiac Parisienne convertible, 1966, back in 2006.
They made those in right-hand drive? I've never even heard of that in right-hand drive. That's awesome.
Yeah, they did. They did in the 60s, well, and the 50s as well. But you could get some factory right-hand drive American cars for Australia, South Africa, and the UK. But especially in the UK, they were very expensive. I mean, if you look back to like
the shipping was charged by weight
in the 60s. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, if you look at a lot of like 60s pop groups, British pop groups, like, I don't know, like the Stones and people like that, some of those guys had right-hand drive American cars, and they...
Interesting.
And yeah, I had a 60s... I bought it completely by accident. I went to Birmingham in 2006 with a hangover, driving a Lotus Exige that I had on test at the time. Yeah, it's one of those, but a convertible.
The front of this just looks like a Bonneville. I mean, it looks so much like a Bonneville.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet that makes a lot. Does it really help in the UK to drive a car that big when the steering wheel's on the proper side? I bet it makes a huge difference in a car like that.
Jeez, yeah.
It does. I mean, that's obviously a bit of a land yacht, and people think you're a bit of a twat for driving a car like that because there's not enough room on the road for a car like that. But you only buy like that and the Dodge and like my old Impala. You only buy cars like that for escapism. Really, it's like you don't take yourself seriously. It's just a slice of history, isn't it?
Yeah,
no, you can't.
But I bought that car. The Pontiac. I went to, you remember MG Rover? When MG Rover like fell to pieces in 2005, 2006, they had a huge like liquidation bankruptcy auction.
Oh, I'd love to go to one of those.
I went to this auction because I thought, they were selling everything. I mean, they had a Bonneville Salt Flats record attempt MG V8 station wagon, as you call it, car with all of the crates of parts that they shipped out to Bonneville to try and set the land speed record for an estate car. And this you could just buy, and this was an auction. It was for sale, and I went to this auction thinking, well, I might just buy some memorabilia, some MG stuff, and all the prices were just crackpot. So while I was over in Birmingham, I text a friend of mine who lives over there, and he said, "Oh, what are you up to? Do you want to meet up for a coffee?" Are you still there, by the way?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you are there. Sorry, it just came up on screen saying your connection is unstable.
Oh no. Your host is unstable, but not your connection.
Yeah, so I went to this auction.
Sorry.
Oh well, I'm clearly unstable. But I've texted this guy and said, "Oh, what are you up to? Have a coffee. I'm at the MG auction. I'm not buying anything." He said, "Oh yeah, meet up." He said, "Oh, Johnny, you like old American stuff. Do you fancy a Pontiac convertible, cheap?" And I went, "Ooh, okay, let's have a look." And then went and I was just saying, I was writing about this car today and looking up some old pictures on iCloud, and it was a bit ropey, but it was a factory right-hand drive convertible Pontiac Parisienne 283 V8 manual auto power glide, and it's like there's hardly any of them left. But yet, weirdly, right-hand drive American cars don't get a lot of respect. They're like really rare, but nobody seems to care.
We're wondering what's going to happen in our country with not so much the muscle cars, because there's still an audience for those, but like stuff from the 40s and 50s that is a tier down from the Pebble Beach stuff. You know what I mean? Like just your average 40s and 50s Ford. Like who that's under 40 years old cares about any of that shit? No, that's going to be tough. Where are those going to go?
Well, it is really tough because I suppose if you don't pass on the enthusiasm to lower generations, it just falls by the wayside, doesn't it? And it just doesn't resonate, which is why I guess you get movies that like Fast and Furious that suddenly showcase cars like, I don't know, the Jensen Interceptor, and suddenly a world audience remembers this British car that was kind of cool, but obviously flawed because it was a British car. And suddenly I quite like that, because although even if the film was rubbish, you still go, yeah, okay, it featured an interesting car. And I'm always on a bit of a quest to remind people that there's so many cars out there that are interesting. They don't have to be the ones that everyone talks about all the time. I mean, I've owned some terrible or some very obscure shit that I got lots of interest for various reasons, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, people like you and I don't buy cars for practical reasons, but then regular folks ask us for practical solutions to their car problems, and so it's really, it's kind of a challenge, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah. I don't have any normal cars either. I only have old, stupid cars. It's so like, I'm right there with you, but like, the Ford
Taunus, the Tornanus. Yeah.
What is that? What are we looking at? It's a Ford?
This is one of Johnny's cars.
That was a German Ford Taunus coupe that I found in England. Someone had brought it over from the army or military or something. Very, very weird car to have in the UK.
It really looks like they put a slightly different body on a Pinto. It looks like there's Pinto under that. You ever drive a Pinto? They're not nearly as
yeah.
bad as you think, actually. They're kind of okay.
Do you know, Matt, you can't mention Pinto because when I was in the States working back in 2014, I became quite fixated with early Pintos, and I found one. We were working out in some movie ranch thing. I can't remember where it was. It's about an hour outside of LA, but they had a lovely patinated green early Pinto, which had an engine which was smoking like fuck. And the guy said, "Oh, you can have it. It's on, with a load of other movie cars. You can have it for $900." And I kind of went, "Yeah, maybe." And I was an idiot. I should have just bought that car. I kept thinking about that.
You're probably finding one just like it for $900 right now. There's not a lot of nostalgia for Pintos. If you find a running Pinto, couple of grand will get you there, tops. Me and my friend Rob Ferretti tried to kill one though. It was very hard. The Pinto didn't want to die. We really tried to. Yeah, we tried to kill one. It was tough. It's got a really tough little motor. It's tough to kill. We tried hard.
I want a Pinto with a V6 EcoBoost. I think that'd be a sweet combo.
Oh my God.
Really do.
It could be fun. I like the Pinto wagon. I think the wagon looks pretty cool. The one me and Rob tried to kill was the flat, the hatchback, which I was not as much of a fan of. But $11,000? Get the fuck out of here!
Well, this is a pro stock race car.
Oh shit! Look at that thing. That's Johnny. It's got your name all over it, bro. 72 Pinto dragster.
Ooh.
Fucking tubbed rear.
Oh my gosh!
Big slicks.
That seems too
Pro
cheap
Street.
for something this fast.
Is there an engine in that?
I don't think there's an engine.
No, that looks.
Now it's safer without the engine.
That looks the law.
Yeah, you could put an EcoBoost right in there. No engine. You're good to go.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
That would be sweet. Ship it.
I kind of like it. Are those wheels gold, Zach?
Yeah, those wheels are gold.
John Player special?
Black Pinto with like full fiberglass front end, huge ram air scoop, gold wheels, cage, red seats, and no engine.
Very aggressive.
You two need to JPS, buy that and JPS.
We definitely do.
It comes with an engine, just not in it.
And the engine's not even on a stand. It's just sitting.
It's sitting on the oil pan. Jeez, this thing would be a riot and terrifying.
Yeah. There's a good. You could die pretty quick in that. Hey Johnny, I want to ask you. I normally don't like to take time out of these fun shows to ask about cars that people have driven when I can go watch the video. But I want to talk to you real quick about the Honda E because we're not going to get that thing here, and I'm so jealous you got to fuck with one.
Yeah.
What's that thing like? It rules. It looks so cool in the pictures anyway.
Yeah, the Honda E is one of those cars where, well, I don't really understand why Honda aren't bringing it to America because I think it would be a car that would work in America. It's one of those cars that's got a characterful face, and I think you're sold on the looks. The design alone is enough to make you go, yeah, I'll accept its flaws.
It's like a real charming little car in the same way the Jimny is charming and the first the R53 Minis were, and like even the Beetle, and the Beetle sucks, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely right. It's one of those cars where you just go, I will accept it for its flaws because I just think it's a great, refreshing piece of design. And the Honda E is not, when you look at it on paper before I went to review it, on paper it basically loses at everything amongst its peers, but you still come back to it and go, yeah, but look at the face, rear wheel drive, rear motor, range that's but it's quite quick, and the steering angle is insane, and I think it's what Honda does when Honda doesn't try and emulate anybody, it doesn't try and follow anybody, it just goes, let's just be Honda. That's what you get, and I love that because Honda has a history, as you guys know, of being quite pioneering and quite bold. And when Honda fails, it's when it tries to kind of take the fight to someone with an existing product. And I think the Honda E is gorgeous. And if the Honda in a second generation, if they were to upgrade the range a bit, it would just be amazing. But it's such a cool car, honestly, to the point where I have hovered. Well, I registered as an early, like, do you want to buy one? And I was sort of speccing it on screen to buy one, and my wife walked in and tore me a new one.
You're like, but it's so responsible.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the thing is about it is lots of people are going, yeah, but they've made it 5-door and it wasn't a 5-door in the concept, and the wheels are too small. But it's like, I understand that. But for a piece of design and a piece of creativity in today's automotive world, I think it's a really strong piece of work.
Is it actually nice to drive?
Yeah, it's really nice to drive. It's really nice to drive, Matt. The way it's the suspension is really lovely. It feels premium inside. It feels really special to drive. It feels more expensive and bigger than what it really is, because it's got this weird kind of plinth. It almost looks like a fireplace, like the
Can you get an inside picture? I haven't seen the dash. I want to see if Zach can find it.
I mean, the dash is like completely horizontal piece of artificial wood. Which
look at that!
It sounds awful.
Oh, that's great. That reminds me very much of BMW i3 when I first saw that.
I mean, yeah, and the dimensions also remind me of i3 rear-wheel drive.
Yeah,
but it's probably. Does it drive better than the i3? I mean, it's definitely a newer car, so I would assume it does. Wow.
It's fucking cool. I mean,
it's definitely... Yeah, I mean, it's cool. And it's very, very Japanesey. It's unashamedly Japanesey. And for that, I love it. I mean, look, it's got a 2-spoke steering wheel. I love a 2-spoke.
Well, it's screens end-to-end on the dash, because you have screens for both side mirrors, so that's in each corner, and then you have 1, 2, 3, wide screens displaying all the data you would need. Wow.
I don't like 2-spoke steering wheels unless it looks just like a WRC steering wheel, which this one does. Yeah,
you're right. In fact, if that had suede around the outside with a little red line at the top, that would be sort of WRC stuff, wouldn't it?
Yes, absolutely. How about now that I'm thinking about it, how cool would EWRC be? That could be cool.
No, but you lose all the sound of...
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Could be cool though.
I think the difficulty that all e-sports, when I say e-sports, I mean electric car, not video games. The difficulty they have is that the cars can be amazing to drive, but until you get someone and sit them in the car and say, please experience this from the seat of your pants now, it's very hard to convey it. Like having driven electric, Formula E stuff, and having driven really fast cars like that, you can describe it till the cows come home, but if you're not sat in the seat and you're just watching it, it's not the same. It's very, very difficult. But I think, like World Rallycross, for example, is going to go electric, and I think World Rallycross has a very distinct sound, but because it's such a short, sharp, aggressive race, I actually think that it'll work really well for electric. There'll be loads of argy-bargy. There's shitloads of torque and acceleration, and I think that'll be good for electric. Or if they allow pistons and electric to kind of have a grudge match, which is what I always enjoy. When I built my sort of electric drag car 5 years ago, that was what I enjoyed. I enjoyed taking the fight of electric to pistons and seeing how people reacted, because some people hated it and some people sort of stood back and watched how it panned out, and then came and talked to you or communicate with you on social media and went, actually, I thought this was going to be total shit, but now I'm seeing there can be a place for these things to coexist, and there's a place for it,
Oh, for sure. Especially in the city where we live, like just driving electric cars around makes a ton of sense. Just the serenity of it and the quiet and the way, like, oh yeah, of course, in traffic it shouldn't be going the whole time. Like, that makes sense. And for certain motorsports as well, stadium rallycross for sure. In the US they do that stuff like inside stadiums, so like it would totally make sense. Like I would like to see monster trucks go electric. Actually, I think that'd be pretty cool too. Do you know, by the way, have you been to monster trucks ever? Sorry.
I'm Monster Jam. My son, who's 8 years old, he's really into Monster Jam because we get it on satellite TV, and Monster Jam comes to the UK for 1 day a year, They bring it all into one stadium in Wales, of all places, and I've been twice, and it's brilliant. You know, I sit there. Usually, that was my kind of getting up to when he was much younger. Get up much earlier than I wanted to on a Saturday morning. Sit down, coffee, dressing gown, watch Gravedigger get completely ruined. Watch, I don't know, insert name of other monster truck here. What I'm just trying to think.
Bigfoot.
El Toro Loco, yeah.
Oh yeah, El Toro Loco, yeah.
Yeah, and weirdly, I kind of got into it because it's just a circus, isn't it? It's a brilliant circus.
Have you heard? Do you know how the logistics
that.
of Monster Jam work? Like, there's like 7 or 8 identical Monster Jams touring around at any given time. Like, I just recently learned that. It's like real crazy, and they take over American sports stadiums for their off seasons, for the entire off season. So they'll fill the whole Los Angeles Dodgers stadium with dirt, and they'll have it for the whole winter, and they'll do Monster Jam, and then they'll throw in like a motocross weekend, and then they'll do all this dirt stuff there and then put it back. It's wild. The logistics of Monster Jam are insane.
I've got a lot of time for Monster Jam, I have to say, and I would love to come and see one in the States, because in fact my children have never been to America, and the one promise that I made my son and daughter was, if we go out to the States, we'll make sure we go to a Monster Jam event.
You can literally go all year round in a lot of parts of America. Like when they came to LA and we went last winter, they had 20 dates. I mean, it wasn't like a selective thing. I mean, they do it in every city they go to, like 20-25 nights. It's crazy. There's like wow. 10 Gravediggers all over the country at the same time. It's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, I get that they sort of build them to a template, don't they?
They do.
And then
they're all built by like one. All the chassis are built by like one company. The engines are all basically the same. I'm not sure if like the shocks and those things differ, but it's it's all in the driving. And you could drive one if you I don't know if you've heard of this place, Monster Jam University. We filmed a bit there for a drive 2 years ago. Yeah, it's in the middle of Illinois, and it's where they train possible prospective new drivers, but also you can go and do like a couple-day course. So we did a bit with Mike Spinelli, and he drove one and jumped it, and you do crazy fast axis spin donuts, and you're driving the truck with like 1,500 horsepower. I mean, it's legit.
I didn't know this, and I now need to do it.
You do. You need to find a reason to go. Like you should take your kids to Monster Jam somewhere in America, but then this is Peoria, Illinois, I think. It's like 2 hours outside of Chicago. It's great.
I've never been to Illinois. Just any excuse to go to a place I've never been to.
Well, you don't really. I mean, that's one you could skip, unless you need to go to Chicago get some deep dish. Sorry, Illinois, but yeah, the guy that runs this is super friendly. Tom Mentz, and he drives. I think his truck is Rampage. And he drives the.
Tom Mentz is. He's the one with the angry face on the side. What's that called?
I think it's Rampage, and he goes huge, and like he breaks his truck a lot, but he first person to do a backflip and some other things back in the day. But all those guys, all the people that drive those trucks are just, their guts are so strong because they fly through the air in like a 12,000-pound vehicle, and it doesn't.
And sometimes they just like
sense.
Land on the roof.
Yeah,
like they'll just send it and just like fall from 30 or 40 feet onto the roof. Like, okay, that's the thing. That
and then they
happened.
Stay in it, and they're like, no, I'm going to donut out of this.
Yeah, and then they call a crane in, and it's like, all right, roll me back over. Next.
I have to say, it is a great spectator sport.
It's great, but like anything else, it could be half as long. They do this like little skills challenge in the beginning. It's like 3 different sections. It's like the skills challenge, and then the they do racing, skills, and then the freestyle. You really only give a shit about the freestyle. That's really all. You could pretty much cut the rest of it and make the freestyle program twice as long, but you'd sell less merch and hot dogs.
And I think if you're a kid, though, you don't want it to ever end.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
No, I think that they have to save the freestyle because that's the full ruination of the truck, right? The truck gets destroyed.
It can get pretty fucked up. Yeah, it can go bad.
I'm amazed how much damage they cause. It's not a
cheap sport to run, man.
No.
if I'd like, instead of like bumper cars at my wedding, if I was significantly more wealthy, I could have gone from like a Monster Jam.
I like where you're going.
Well, they do have
really good.
At the one I went to, they have the monster truck like bus where they give people tours. You know, they load up like 25 people in the back of this thing, and they drive them around the arena in it, and do some donuts and stuff. They don't send it, but. Oh, this is a great picture, Zach. So this guy's got spikes on his roof.
Yeah, that's Tom.
Yeah, that's Max D. Yeah, that's him.
Maximum Destruction. That's
Maximum Destruction. So basically, if this guy lands,
my son's got all the Hot Wheels of those.
If this guy lands on his roof, he just spikes into the ground. It has to be like pried out, basically.
Yeah, it's amazing. He'll drive around with 3 wheels, 2 wheels, and just you try to keep the truck moving and just turn it into a new trick.
Yeah, the slap wheelie is my particular favorite.
Oh, where they bounce the front and then do the wheelie.
It comes down from a jump, full compression, and then keep on the gas as soon as the front lifts, and you just have to pin it. And if you hit a jump whilst it's on its back legs, you just got to deal with the consequences. It's great.
Oh my god!
I saw one truck when I was there stand on one wheel. Like it stood on the corner of one wheel for about 8 or 9 seconds. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Like the dude balanced it on one wheel. I was like, oh, okay, you're the fucking champ. Gnarly.
It's amazing, like the world of cars. Johnny, I'm looking at your drag car here, and it's like your little electric. I mean, this car is small. It looks like you could put it in a backpack.
Oh, I love the drag car.
It runs 10-second quarter miles, which is no joke.
Fuck, it does?
Yeah. It's a runner 986. That was the world record for a street legal EV. Yeah, 986 in 2016.
That's awesome.
Bananas. So you got this, and then also into super loud, like nitromethane monster trucks. The world of cars is amazing.
Zach, do you remember when we drove that crazy Mini? What happened when you lifted off the gas?
Yeah,
with the handling?
Oh my God! How long is the wheelbase on this car, Johnny?
What happens when you lift in this drag car?
1.7 meters.
What?
The entire length of that Enfield is 9 feet. The whole car.
1.7 meters.
What is that? What model car is that? I don't even know what that is.
That car is called an Enfield 8000 ECC electric city car, and it was a car that nobody remembers from the early 70s to the mid 70s, built on the Isle of Wight, so a remote island off the UK. And
is it related to Royal Enfield motorcycles at all?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it was like a subsidiary that got set up just before or after the oil crisis. Huh. So this car was born from the sort of oil crisis era, and that car. The reason why I bought that car and started that whole project was because of a chap that you probably know in Portland, Oregon, called John Wayland, who back in the, late 90s started drag racing a Datsun with electric powertrain in it called the White Zombie.
White Zombie. I remember the White Zombie.
I mean, he just used to go to dragster. The White Zombie was phenomenal. He just used to, he's a talented guy. He home built this car. He's a high voltage engineer by trade. And he used to go to the drag strip with this street legal Datsun and piss off Corvettes and Vipers and all sorts. And I just started reading up about him and seeing some of the early videos on the internet and thought, this is great. I'm seeing the beginning of a new era of hot rodding. I that's the way I kind of viewed it. It's like it's another chapter of hot rodding. Mm-hmm. And I started to communicate with John Wayland on via email and stuff. And then when I got the chance to in 2012, I thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and get a little bit of sponsorship, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to build a street legal, hot rod. But I want to pick a real underdog car, a car that was always electric, that no fucker remembers or cares about. That's a proper underdog, horrible, weird piece of what. And I looked up through my books and did a bit of research, and the Enfield 8000 came up, and I thought, wow, I wonder if there's any left. There's 30 left in the world. They only made about 120. And I found one. It took me about a year to find it and buy it, and then took about a year and a half to build it. And yeah, it was always a street legal drag car with treaded tires, and we just kept trying to push the boundaries of what is possible. And we got up to about, what did we have towards the end? About 1,000 horsepower equivalent, 1,400 pounds-feet of torque.
Ran like a 987.
And what did it weigh?
Yeah. We got it. We got the weight. The weight went. The second season of racing, I put an extra pack in the boot, so we needed a bit more volt. We need to put it up to 400 volts. So it weighed 890 kilos, 900 kilos, something like that.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Did you need wheelie bars?
That car was crazy. Yeah, well, the first season when we had the car built, we had wheelie bars put on it because everybody told me it was going to be suicide. And my wife said, just please try and build it, safely if you can. And so I thought, I'm going to try and do this properly. Although it's a funny car to look at, I want it to be well built. And we tried to do it the right way. But what was weird is when we started really winding up the power and dialing it in, it never lifted the front wheels. It went lighter, but it just used to launch so cleanly, and it used to drive so straight. And what's bizarre, and this is the thing that I love about this car, is the guy that designed this car went on to be the aerodynamics engineer of Thrust 2, if you remember.
No
Thrust
way.
2.
Fuck out of here.
World's fast. I am not taking the piss. It's true.
Land speed record holder car.
Wow. So is this thing aerodynamic actually? Does that guy have the skills?
It's extremely aerodynamic. In fact, just if I ran out that door, just behind that door is a bookcase with a book in that the guy who designed that car and did Thrust 2 and did, if you remember, Richard Branson in his air balloon tried to go around the world in the 80s?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, the balloon.
Yeah, he designed the capsule, the sort of survival capsule,
Wow.
and the balloon.
Cool.
And this guy's like a fantastic, fascinating bloke that nobody knows about. And he's quite an old guy now in his 80s. And I got chatting to him. I managed to find him and talk to him. And while I was building this car, I said, look, I'm going to build a version of your Enfield, but we're going to go fucking fast. We're going to try and go really fast.
For reference, people, 1.7 meter wheelbase, that's 61 inches roughly. That's the wheelbase. Okay, so a Miata has an 89-inch wheelbase. That is a twitchy thing. Well, it should be, but apparently it went very straight. How did you build? I mean, are you a pretty handy wrench in general, and you kind of did your internet research and talked to people and figured it out, or did you have a team help you build this? I mean, it's a lot of voltage. It's a 9-second car. I mean, it's
a lot of voltage.
Pretty ambitious.
It was yeah. Well, I on that car, I did the basic stuff like rebuilding the suspension, brake lines, the stuff that I knew I could do. The really big modifications like the roll cage, the 4-link rear, the Ford 9-inch. It's a narrowed Ford 9-inch custom built back axle in that car. I had all that done by a well-known dragster builder in the UK called Webster Race Engineering, WRE. And John Webster, I remember I phoned him as I was driving the car from where I bought it. I bought that car as a flood damaged car. So it was a standard Enfield that had been flood damaged. It had been parked next to a river when the river overflowed because of a storm. And it got completely flooded and just destroyed itself. And I took it straight to his drag racing workshop and said, right, John, I've got this idea and I want to build a really fast street car out of this, and it's going to have about this much power. Please, he's quite a straight talking guy, John Webster. I said, look, tell me if I'm being a complete prick. What do you think? And he just looked at me and he went, okay, let me have a look. And he walked around the car for 15 minutes with a pencil on his ear, just kind of tapping his chin and stroking his chin. And he said nothing for 15 minutes.
Wow.
And then he said, and I was quite tense. And he said, and then he turned to me and he said, I reckon we can make this work. And because he said that, I said, all right. He knew I had a family, and he knew that although it was a joke to look at, and it is a joke to look at, that's why I like it. The underlying message of the car was quite serious, of like, I'm going to make this quick and I'm going to make it purposeful. And I guess I'm going to try and encourage people to take electric cars seriously, and that there could be a future. This was 2015. I did a first season of racing in that car, to try and encourage people to go, you don't have to be like pistons versus electric. There are, you don't have to be one camp or the other. It's not like, Bloods and Crips or something like that. You can appreciate a bit of everything. And
listen, speak for yourself, bro. But if I see an EV at the drag strip, I just walk over and just beat the shit out of them. Fairies. No, wait. So you have a Ford 9-inch rear in this thing. So then presumably it has some type of drive shaft that goes into the differential. So where is the motor? In the front?
The motor's right under the center console, so the transmission tunnel. So originally it was a single motor, and we put a twin motor in. So one has an input shaft into the other in series, and the driveline was the same height as a Coke can. I'll find a picture and send it to you.
That's so cool.
I had to have a driveline custom made, and the guy that made it phoned me about 3 times and said, "Are you sure these are the right measurements?" I said, "Yeah, these are the right measurements." And
you want a drive shaft 7 inches long?
Yeah, he said it's like a really, really tough. It's a UJ, a 1 inch, and then a UJ. And it was this long. It was amazing. I've got a photo of it. I've got a photograph of it next to a cup of coffee, and he just said, "This is fucking stupid. I don't know what you're building, but this is."
So it's like a V drive, but it can take that much torque and power. That is amazing.
Yeah, Zach, you're right. It's like an outboard boat drive. Yeah. And that's a single speed, right? Just direct drive to the diff. That's awesome.
For some reason, like looking at your car in the burnout shot, it's like, all right, that's it's doing a thing. But now I just found some like 70s commercial photos, and the car looks even smaller.
I mean, the fact that you would have seen it looking like that, like it looked stock and going, I really see a drag car.
But you can't see, look how raked the windshield is. The windshield's very rounded. Like you can kind of see how, I guess that's why it's slippery. Like it's
so weird because it's almost got the windshield looks like it's off a fucking Transit or something. It's got an enormous windshield.
Or a motorcycle. It's so round.
Jeez. I had the windscreen was cracked when I got the car. And I had to have one custom made because they don't exist. Weirdly, they didn't build that car and share any components. And I found a company to build one for me. And the company said, that looks just like a Koenigsegg screen. We've just built a screen, a racing screen for a Koenigsegg. And when I went to the company, it's like a first generation, was it the CCX?
Yeah, with the full really wraparound windshield. Yeah.
And I've got now that we're in isolation and stuff, I'm going through some old archive video, and I took shed loads of video when we were trying to finish building that car and set it up and do a bit of R&D on it. And I thought, I'm going to probably try and get this stuff edited and put out, because it was a lot of work to get that car not just finished but competitive. And the race series that I raced that car in is a strict street legal series called the Street Eliminator. So the idea is the car has to be unchanged from the street to the strip, and part of the qualification process is you do a 26-mile cruise on the street regardless of weather on the same day as the main event.
That's pretty cool. Every day is a hot rod power tour.
You've got to make sure. Yeah, it's kind of like that, and I like that because it will really push the boundaries of like what is possible. You have to make sure your horn works. You have to have screen wash. You have to have, you have to have working lights, and everything has to be true. And I ran that car on, I think, Mickey Thompson street radials, was it called? Drag radials, Mickey Thompson drag radials. And although when it was new, it ran on 10-inch mini wheels, I managed to squeeze 14s, those Wolf Ray slot mags on the back of 14s. And they look huge. Look at it, they're 14s.
14! The 14 is the front 14 wheel on my Lamborghini, which is tiny. It's so little. It's so funny.
What was so if you did that 26-mile drive, what was the range you would get on this thing? I know these are like silly questions for a race car, but how much of your battery went away when you did that, and then how long would it take you to replenish it?
When we did the first season, which is that picture there, 2015, with the wheelie bars. Yeah, you see, there's the drive line. Yeah, you saw the drive line.
Oh my God, just right in between that.
Yes, you see the red bit. The red thing's one of the motors.
It's just right
like,
in between.
It's a penis. It's short. It's smaller than a penis. Smaller than an average penis.
It's just U joints. It's almost like it's like U joints with a washer in between.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. And but the car was a 4-link when it was new. So although we 4-linked it was a 4-link when it was new. So there was a lot of parts of that Enfield that I had so much time for. And sorry, what was your question?
What was it like to drive on the street, and what was the range?
Yeah, like range and charging back then.
Sorry, folks. Delay. Oh no.
Oh yeah. Well, when we you okay?
Yeah. There's a slight delay. Sorry.
You connected? Don't worry. When we first built the car, we weren't sure. We weren't really sure. I mean, there's a big story to this car, which we haven't got time to go into, but there's a website where I documented it all, flux-capacitor.co.uk. But essentially, to get the right battery cells, which were the crucial part of this car, the motors aren't that special. The motors are from America, actually, net gain in America, but the cells were the critical thing. And to get the cells of the sort of power that I needed, the density, I had to have a military account, which I don't have, amazingly. And so I had to become friends with a company in the UK that has a military account and could get these cells from Korea, but they were military grade. So it took me over a year to broker that deal. That was a whole big deal, but we didn't really know how far we could drive it on the street in terms of range. So what we had is a basic laptop software that we could map the car's control system, and we dial everything back for the street. And we managed to get, we reckoned we'd get like fairly easy 30 miles if we were just cruising around. The difficulty being, of course, you've got a drag car that you're trying to drive sensibly, and it doesn't have things like demisters. So one time we went out on a cruise and it started to rain, and like the wipers just about worked. But everyone, I mean, all the guys that I was competing with in the Street Eliminator had, well, I think what was like the lowest, I mean, that's probably the smallest engine was 900 horsepower, and there were guys, there's a photo, in fact there's a desktop, my desktop photo is me against a Bentley Continental GT, which is not really a Bentley Continental GT, it's a tube chassised Bentley Conti with a twin turbo Chevy based big block running 2,800 horse. I mean, silly numbers.
How British is it to have a fucking body of a Bentley put over your tube chassis drag car? It's like so British. It's great.
I mean, yeah. I mean that car is absolutely gorgeous. That is 100 and. That was, I think, 199 mile an hour on the quarter-mile street legal car. And so I was up against some pretty big hitters. And I knew that in this, I was seen as a wild card. So no one else had ever done electric. So it was me versus pistons. And for a long time, everybody kind of kept me at arm's distance. They had no idea what I was doing. They thought I was a weirdo. They didn't really want to know. And when I proved that the car was going to hit some good numbers, and when I proved that it was just, I suppose, slightly pioneering, people really came out of their shell. You know, the big guys in the drag racing circles in the UK with these 2,500 horsepower street cars and stuff, they started to come over and chat to me, and they wanted to know what it was all about. And there was a real camaraderie, and that's the bit I loved, was kind of these people appreciating what I was doing and realizing that this sort of I don't know, volts versus pistons thing could be quite fun and entertaining. And I in my heart of hearts, I hope that continues, because I love to see that stuff. I think, and I'm sure you do as well. It's like there are shit electric cars, and there's great electric cars, and there's shit piston cars, and there's fantastic piston cars. And I think
I agree.
There's a place for all of it.
Yeah. Did you top off the charge in between runs when you would go to the strip for like a race? Because you'd obviously run multiple times. Did you bring like a big Jenny and top it off?
We had to get like special dispensation to use the high voltage supply, the 32 amp.
Yeah, you need the RV supply, right?
Yeah, it was the RV supply.
Yeah.
But we worked out that we could do 2 to 3 full throttle 2,000 amp runs. 2,000 amps was the maximum draw that the controller on the EV could take. 2,400 amps was the maximum the batteries would deliver. And we could do 3 full throttle runs without any kind of fade, which was really good. And what we typically did is just topped it up in between, and then if it was a weekend event, which most of these are, you turn up on Thursday or Friday and it finishes on Sunday, you'd balance the car overnight with the battery management system. So you put it on a really low charge overnight and just let all the cells even themselves out. And we had, you know, a little laptop connection so we could just work. But it was I was just talking to my friend Nick, who was my crew chief, who's just a friend of mine, and we were talking a couple of days ago, just saying how much fun it was. We just used to. The deal was Nick brought a motorhome RV, and I brought the race car with the race trailer. We would meet. I would pay for all the food and the drink, and he would give me his time.
That sounds like a good arrangement. I like that.
And you know what? It was and it was lovely, because we just. You know, we were just we had no one else in the pits to help, to get help from, because there was no relation really between all the other drag cars that were there and ours. But we borrowed tools from all the other people, and it was great. And the worst part of all of this is it just makes me want to build another race car. I just want to go faster.
I understand. Hey, we've got a few questions from the people before we wrap this up, and I'm going to focus on questions specific to Jonny first, and we got a lot, so if we run out of time we'll save some more general ones for later. But Zach has one highlighted, so what do you got,
Zach? Let's rattle through. Yeah, let's do it.
Well, a quick one for Jonny is explain the Austin Allegro for Americans.
Okay, the Austin Allegro is like always comes top of most hated cars of all time. So it's sort of the AMC Pacer.
It's ugly
type of thing. It was a sort of a good idea, but between the idea and the reality thing, there was a loss of communication, and so it became a bit shit. And I like the Allegro because I grew up with an auntie with one. She had a poo brown one, and my grandparents had a sort of baby diarrhea coloured one, actually.
They were all a variant on diarrhea. It was just what had you eaten in order to shit out that colour.
All right, Evan.
It was weird era of 70s cars. Weird era.
Evan asks if there are any updates on your S600 coupe project.
Yes, it's like that far away from being on the road. The guys are working in the workshop still on it during the lockdown. That's why I've got the little box behind me, actually, because my little S600 is finally on the sort of home straight of completion. So I'm hoping to do a video on it soon. The worst part of that car is I've realised I bought it before I knew I couldn't fit in it. I can't fit in it. I can't read it.
That's what I was gonna. I mean, I don't know how tall you are. We haven't met in person, but I gather you're on the edge of that. An S600 Coupe is a little car. We're talking about the Honda, not the Mercedes, people. They're very, very small.
Yeah.
What about no shoes? Can you drive it no shoes?
Yeah, I think I could drive it with no shoes. I think the problem is like my right knee has nowhere to go, and so I think I've got to drive it with the driver's doors slightly open, with maybe like a bungee cord.
Wow, that is a great idea.
I mean, what sort of a shit idea is that?
That's how I have to drive Land Rover Defenders, because my shoulders don't fit.
Oh yeah, hand arm out the window.
Yeah, Defender's designed for a person with one arm.
Totally, it's for pirates.
It's Land Rover Defender territories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thomas asks, which classic car do we think would be the ideal conversion for an EV conversion? He's thinking Citroen DS, or something else where the engine wasn't a big attraction. DS would be nice.
Yeah, I think DS is a great shout. Anything where the engine was fundamentally disappointing. The DeLorean is a great one, and I know
I drove that one. I drove the DMC converted one.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I drove it in 2014 when they built it. It was a great idea. It looked great. It worked pretty well for the time. But it had a DC motor, not AC motors. So it had no regen, and it also slowly lost power over time until it finally kind of died. But the idea of an electric DeLorean was incredibly appealing, and this comes from someone who owned a gas DeLorean. Yeah.
Dante
Absolutely.
says.
So I think.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to move through them. This is. This guy's importing a Pajero Evo. He also says he loves your videos. He wants to import a Pajero Evo when they're legal. How much better is that over the base Pajero SUV, or Pajero, I guess it is?
It's all the difference
Pajero
in the world.
Evo. The Evolution.
Yeah,
that's really weird, because there's a guy in our village or somewhere close to where I live that has a Pajero Evolution and drives it past my house regularly. I've never met him. I don't know who he is, but it looks great. They are amazing because they're like a homologation car for the Dakar. So they're like your Group B rally equivalent of an SUV in some ways. They're brilliant.
I think those Dakar homologation little SUV things are like really undervalued as collector's items.
Yeah.
They're fucking
I think
cool.
you're absolutely
They look
right.
amazing. I don't even care if it drives like shit. It looks so cool. How bad could it drive? I mean, how bad could it be?
Well, it's not going to drive as bad as a DeLorean, and let's face it, we all love a DeLorean because of the way it looks.
Yeah.
I've just realised someone's just messaged me to say it's the 35th anniversary of Back to the Future, day after tomorrow. You know?
Wait,
I didn't
what?
know that.
Oh,
Yeah,
when
it's
Back
the
to the Future
35th
came out.
anniversary
Of when it came out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
The nerds will let us all know tomorrow that shit's going on.
You'll be very happy you don't have social media on your phone.
I know. The DeLorean guys live for all that shit.
In the UK, they're putting on 1, 2, and 3 all end to end on one of the channels in the UK. So
they do that a lot here, and if I catch it, I'm watching till the end of whatever they got. I'm going all. If I catch it,
Are you?
If I catch a marathon in the opening 20 minutes of Back to the Future 1, I'm there for 8 hours. They got me.
Well, you don't have cable now, so that's probably that's a good thing.
I know. There's a beautiful.
Well, yeah, you know,
sorry, go ahead.
The guy that designed the original hoverboard prop for the film and the voyage to the bottom of the sea dance in the first Back to the Future, and a couple of other important props. He's a British guy that I interviewed a few years ago. He's a really nice bloke.
Oh, really?
And he went over to the went over to LA in the early 80s as a graphic designer and a prop designer, and just did he drew the flux capacitor and the hoverboard.
That's awesome. That's a fun bit of trivia.
Yeah, he's a nice bloke.
I have a
Danny.
movie accurate flux capacitor at my house that's really, really nerdy. And it's signed by Bob Gale. It's like as nerdy as this shit gets. Yeah. On Bring a Trailer right now, there is a beautiful 1985 Toyota 4Runner pickup. The black pickup truck from Back to the Future. Mint. It looks amazing. It's on Bring a Trailer right now. It's a 85 Toyota 4Runner pickup. It rules. What else you got, Zachary?
Got a few more.
Have you just? I bet you just bought it.
No.
We need more super chat for that. Patrick Guile says, Johnny, what is the current state of the hot hatch in the EU? What's your favorite and your least favorite?
Good question.
Oh shit, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hot hatches. The problem almost is that the power is getting very high, but the weight and the luxury is going up with it. So on the face of it, you go, oh wow, it's a 300 and something horsepower little hot hatch. But then you realize, but it's 4-wheel drive, which is heavy, with a lot of luxury, which is heavy, and it's very safe, which means it's heavy. And so it's sort of it's very difficult. I mean, you've got the Mercedes A-Class, AMG, you've got the Audi RS3, the Renault. I mean, I know I don't want to ruin it for you guys because you don't get Renault, but the Renault Sport Megane is still such a good car. And in fact, was it today or yesterday that Ford announced the death of the Focus RS?
Yesterday for us. So that's a bummer.
Yesterday.
It's a bummer. What's ringing?
Yeah,
Is that us? Is that next door? Sorry.
There's been some.
I'm sorry. There's an office next door phone ringing. The delay is killing us right now, Johnny. My bad.
No, it's okay. There's The Focus RS has had some great times and things. In the UK, there's like a cliche. If you're like a proper Focus RS driver, you're a bit sort of lock, stock, and two smoking barrels. Like shaved head.
I've got an RS.
White sneakers. Yeah, your wife's probably got a bit too much makeup on, it's obvious. You wear short, you wear like a polo shirt when it's like winter and it's cold.
I'm not cold, mate. I'm fucking warm.
Yeah, it's
no, it's got a drift button, mate.
If you imagine Jason Statham, if he wasn't famous,
if he didn't have all the money, he just had. If he had credit but no money, he buys the Focus RS.
Jason Statham be like, don't you fuck with me. I've got a fucking Focus RS. I'll fucking do you, mate. I'll follow you home and I'll fucking do you.
Listen, the steering radius is terrible because of the all-wheel drive because it's a fucking rally car, mate. I could drift button into the parking spot. Now, I got to go deliver this food because I work for Postmates.
That is remarkably good.
I know. Zach's fucking on point with shit like that.
Very few skills.
It's very good. It's very good.
Are you gonna? So you have this, experience with building EVs. So Ryukachu had a question. Are you gonna build a classic EV conversion? Not like a race car or anything, but do you have plans to do that?
Yeah, I'm trying to sort of broker a deal right now to do that, and there's one of two cars I'm going to do it with. One of them's my wife's car, which is a Nissan Figaro.
Oh,
and the other one is a car which will remain a mystery.
My wife loves the Figaro. Yeah, she wants one very badly. They just got expensive here, actually.
Did they?
They've gone up substantially in the last year. If you want a good one. Yeah.
Wait, the which?
Nissan Figaro.
Yeah, that car is cool. I like it.
Yeah, they're weird. Hannah loves them, but they cost 6 pennies for quite some time, and now all of a sudden they've gone up like double probably in the last year. I almost bought one for my wife for her birthday, but then I didn't because I'm cool. It rules though. It looks like it's out of the 60s.
Listen, Matt,
Yeah, man.
you've got my email address.
You want out of that thing?
I can get you one.
Wow, whoever this is has a lot of them.
But I got the Figaro for my wife before we were married, because she said that's my favorite car in the world. And when I got my first job on television doing Fifth Gear, that's what I bought. I bought her the best Figaro I could find for the money I had, and as a total surprise. And we've still got the fucking thing, and I have a very love-hate relationship with it.
Does it work properly?
At the moment, it's working really well. It's had an engine rebuild, and the irony of that is that the engine cost more to rebuild on that than it did my Dodge Charger.
Perfect. Good.
Wow.
On with that. And that's 60 horsepower.
Yeah. It's but right now my wife is driving our Mitsubishi Delica, so that's like 85 horsepower, and it's a big van. So this is kind of she's about it. My wife is really into.
Oh, the Delica is cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. You know what she just had happen, which really made me excited? Like here obviously we drive on the left side, and if I jump into a right-hand drive car or whatever, like my brain won't be programmed yet. And the thing that we always do is we accidentally hit the wipers when we mean to hit the blinkers, because they're opposite, right, in Japan. But my wife was driving a left-hand drive car the other day and did that because she's so used to her right-hand drive car, she fucked it up in the Jag. And I was like, you're programmed the wrong way now, woman. I love it. Zach, do we have anything else before we get out of here? Sorry.
Nothing specific for Johnny, but we have a lot of questions we can save for our next cruise show.
All right. Well, we are approaching that 90-minute mark. So, Johnny, what do you want to plug before we get out of here, before other than your Car Pervert YouTube channel, Smith and Sniff? Anything else?
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I think if there's anyone out there that's got a huge amount of money that wants to sponsor my YouTube channel, I think, just come and talk to me. That'd be great.
I imagine it would. So definitely Smith and Sniff on YouTube, along with Richard Porter, who rules. He's been on our show a few times. When he sobers up, we'll have to get him on the schedule for.
Yeah, happy birthday, Richard.
Well, we need to come to the States, me and Porter, and we need to do some stuff with you. That's
as soon as people are allowed to be around people again, we should be your first stop.
People to people, I think that's a really good idea.
And of course, Car Pervert on YouTube. John, why don't I follow Johnny on Instagram? I only follow him on Twitter. Follow Johnny on Instagram. Johnny Car Pervert. No H in Johnny. Jonny.
No.
Johnny Smith.
No H.
Thank you very much for joining us, sir. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry it's gone on so long. I hope that your listeners and /viewers are not bored. I've enjoyed it. I've drunk a bottle of wine. I've just realized I've cleared a bottle.
Oh, congratulations. That's excellent.
Not bad.
And I mean, so maybe it's not the delay in the software. This whole time I'm blaming the fact that you're in England and it's software. Turns out.
We repeat the question. He's like, no, I heard you. It's just taking a minute to.
I promise you. I promise you it was the software.
Thanks, Johnny, man. That was a great show. Good having you.
Thank you. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it, Matt. And Zach, thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Good chat.
Let's do it again soon. The Smoking Tire Podcast is powered by Shout Engine. Get your own damn podcast at shoutengine.com. It's easy. All you need is a microphone, a connection to the internet, and ideally something to say. Have a good day in America or night in the UK. Johnny's going to need some sleep after that wine. Bye.